The sledgehammer hits the wall for the third time, and that's when Marcus Rivera sees it. A gap. Not just any gap. A hollow space where there shouldn't be one. He's been doing demolition work for 15 years, and he knows the difference between old plaster and something deliberately hidden. It's December 15th, 2024. The old Victorian house at 847 Elmwood Drive in Ashford, Connecticut has stood for over a century. But today, it's coming down. Marcus wipes the sweat from his forehead despite the winter cold seeping through the broken windows. His crew is downstairs, ripping up floorboards. He's alone on the second floor, and something about this wall doesn't feel right. He swings again. The wall crumbles. Dust fills his lungs, and he steps back, coughing. When the air clears, he sees it clearly now, a space behind the wall. A chamber. Sealed. Deliberate. Marcus pulls out his phone, turns on a flashlight, and peers inside. The beam of light catches something metallic. A suitcase. Old, weathered, covered in dust. He reaches in, his hand shaking though he doesn't know why yet. His fingers brush against fabric. Then something else. Something that makes him pull his hand back so fast he stumbles. Bones. He's looking at human remains. 2 sets. One large. One small. One adult. One child. Marcus backs away from the wall, his breath coming in short gasps. His phone is in his hand, 911 already dialed, but before he presses call, his flashlight catches something else. A tag on the suitcase. Faded, barely legible, but he can make out the words. Michael Davidson. Flight 227. December 24th, 1998. 26 years ago. Christmas Eve. A father and son boarded a flight that day. They were seen boarding. The plane took off. It landed. But they never got off. For 26 years, the world wondered what happened to them. How do 2 people vanish from an airplane in mid-flight? How does a father and his 9-year-old son simply cease to exist? The answer was here all along, sealed behind a wall, waiting. This is the story of the most baffling disappearance in modern aviation history. A mystery that stumped the FBI, tormented a family, and became an obsession for an entire nation. And it all started on what should have been the most wonderful time of the year. If you're captivated by true crime mysteries that defy explanation, stories that keep you awake at night wondering how such things are possible, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Ultimate Crime Stories, where we dive deep into the cases that haunt us, the disappearances that confound investigators, and the truths that hide in plain sight for decades. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because you won't want to miss a single story. Now, let's go back to where it all began. December 1998. Ashford, Connecticut. And a family that was about to be torn apart forever. December in Ashford, Connecticut is the kind of winter you see on postcards. Snow covers the ground in a pristine blanket of white. Christmas lights twinkle from every house on Maple Street. The air smells like pine and wood smoke. Children build snowmen in their front yards. Parents hang wreaths on their doors. It's the kind of town where everyone knows everyone, where people still leave their doors unlocked, where nothing bad ever happens. The Davidson family lived at 432 Maple Street, right in the heart of this Norman Rockwell painting. Michael Davidson was 42 years old in December of 1998. He was an architect, successful, respected, the kind of man who remembered everyone's name and always had time to help a neighbor with a home repair question. He had kind eyes, people said. The kind of eyes that made you trust him immediately. His wife, Sarah, was 38. She taught 3rd grade at Ashford Elementary School. The kids loved her. Parents requested her class specifically. She had a way of making learning feel like magic, her colleagues said. She baked cookies for every school event. She organized the Christmas pageant every year. And in December of 1998, she was 8 months pregnant with their second child. Their son, Tommy, was 9 years old. Bright, curious, obsessed with airplanes. His room was filled with model aircraft hanging from the ceiling on fishing line. Boeing 747s, Cessnas, fighter jets. He knew the specifications of every commercial airliner by heart. He could tell you the cruising speed of a DC-10, the passenger capacity of an Airbus A320, the wingspan of a 767. His dream was to be a pilot. Every night, he fell asleep staring at those planes, imagining himself in the cockpit, soaring above the clouds. The Davidsons were, by all accounts, happy. Michael's architecture firm was thriving. Sarah loved her teaching job. Tommy was getting straight A's. They were expecting a baby girl in January. They had everything to live for. So when Michael surprised Tommy with tickets to visit Grandma in Denver for Christmas, it seemed like just another beautiful moment in their beautiful life. Michael's mother, Dorothy, was 74 and hadn't been feeling well. Nothing serious, the doctor said, just age catching up with her. But Michael wanted to see her, wanted Tommy to spend time with her. Who knew how many Christmases they had left? Sarah couldn't go, of course. 8 months pregnant. Her doctor advised against flying. But she encouraged Michael to take Tommy. A father-son trip. A chance for them to bond. She'd be fine at home, she said. Her sister would come stay with her. They'd be back in 3 days, just after Christmas. It was perfect. December 24th, 1998. Christmas Eve. The house on Maple Street was warm and bright. A Christmas tree stood in the corner of the living room, decorated with ornaments Tommy had made in school over the years. Paper snowflakes. Popsicle stick reindeer. A clay angel he'd crafted in first grade. Sarah had wrapped presents and placed them under the tree. Some for Michael and Tommy to open when they got back. Some for the baby girl who would be joining them in just a few weeks. Michael and Tommy were scheduled to leave at noon. Their flight departed Ashford Regional Airport at 3:30 p.m. Flight 227 to Denver. A direct flight, just under 4 hours. They'd land at 6:30 Mountain Time, and Dorothy would pick them up at the airport. That morning, Sarah made pancakes. Mickey Mouse-shaped, Tommy's favorite. They ate together at the kitchen table, Tommy chattering about the plane they'd be flying on. It's probably a Boeing 737, he said, syrup dripping down his chin. That's what they usually use for regional routes. It has 2 engines, cruising speed of about 500 miles per hour, can carry up to 189 passengers depending on the configuration. Michael smiled and ruffled his son's hair. You're going to make a great pilot someday, buddy. Tommy beamed. In his lap, he clutched a model airplane. A 737, naturally. He'd built it himself from a kit, spent weeks getting every detail perfect. He planned to show it to Grandma Dorothy, who always praised his models like they were works of art. At 11:15, Michael loaded their suitcases into the trunk of his Ford Explorer. One large suitcase for him, one smaller one for Tommy. They were only going for 3 days. They traveled light. Sarah stood on the front porch, her hands resting on her pregnant belly. She was wearing Michael's old college sweatshirt, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Michael walked back to her, wrapped his arms around her as carefully as he could with the baby between them. I love you, he said. I love you too, she replied. Call me when you land. I will. Take care of yourself. And her. He placed his hand on her belly. The baby kicked as if on cue. They both laughed. Tommy ran up and hugged his mother. Bye, Mom. I'll bring you back something from Denver. You better, she said, kissing the top of his head. Be good for your father. I will. She watched them drive away, Michael's hand raised in a final wave as they turned the corner off Maple Street. It was 11:30 a.m. She would never see them again. But she didn't know that yet. She went back inside, closed the door against the cold, and started addressing Christmas cards. Everything was normal. Everything was fine. At Ashford Regional Airport, Michael and Tommy arrived at 12:15. The airport was small, serving mostly regional flights to larger hubs. Christmas Eve was always busy though. Families traveling to see relatives. College kids heading home. Business travelers trying to finish one last trip before the holiday. The terminal was decorated with garland and red bows. A Christmas tree stood near the security checkpoint. Bing Crosby's White Christmas played over the speakers. Tommy clutched his model airplane, his eyes wide as he watched real planes taking off and landing through the large windows. They checked in at the counter. The clerk, a woman named Jennifer Mills, would later tell investigators she remembered them clearly. The man was polite, smiling. The boy was excited, kept talking about planes. Normal. Completely normal. She checked their bags, printed their boarding passes, seats 12A and 12B, and wished them a Merry Christmas. Security was light. This was 1998, before September 11th changed everything. Michael and Tommy walked through the metal detector without incident. Tommy's model airplane went through the X-ray machine. No problems. They had an hour before boarding, so Michael bought them both hot chocolate from the airport cafe. They sat near the windows, watching planes. Tommy identified each one. That's a 757. See the engines? And that one's a CRJ-200, a regional jet. Oh, and look, Dad, that's ours. He pointed to a plane taxiing toward their gate. A Boeing 737, just like he'd predicted. Tail number N427WA. White body with blue stripes. Western Airways, the regional carrier that operated Flight 227. At 2:45 p.m., boarding began. Michael made one last phone call from the payphone near the gate. He called Sarah. "Hey, sweetheart," he said. "We're about to board." "Good," Sarah said. She was lying on the couch, her feet up, watching the snow fall outside the window. "Have a safe flight. I love you. I love you too. I'll call you when we land. Around 7 your time. I'll be waiting. Kiss Tommy for me." "I will. Bye, honey. Bye." He hung up. It was 2:47 p.m. Security footage from the airport, grainy but clear enough, shows Michael and Tommy walking toward Gate B7. Tommy is skipping a little, his model airplane in one hand, his boarding pass in the other. Michael has his hand on his son's shoulder. They hand their boarding passes to the gate agent, a man named Robertson. He scans them. They're approved. They walk down the jetway. They board the plane. The door closes behind them. Flight 227 pushes back from the gate at 3:28 p.m., 2 minutes ahead of schedule. It taxis to the runway. At 3:34 p.m., it takes off, climbing into the clear December sky. On board are 93 passengers and 5 crew members. Among them, in seats 12A and 12B, are Michael and Tommy Davidson. Multiple passengers would later confirm seeing them. The man in 12C, a businessman named Harold Peters, remembers the boy showing him the model airplane. The flight attendant, Monica Shaw, remembers serving them both ginger ale during the beverage service. They were there, on the plane, in the air. The flight is smooth. No turbulence. No emergencies. The plane climbs to 35,000 feet and levels off. It's a beautiful day for flying. Clear skies. Perfect visibility. At 6:31 p.m. Mountain Time, Flight 227 touches down at Denver International Airport. A perfect landing. The plane taxis to Gate A14. The seatbelt sign turns off. Passengers stand, retrieve their carry-on luggage from the overhead bins, and begin deplaning. Harold Peters, the businessman in 12C, stands up. He glances over at seats 12A and 12B. They're empty. He doesn't think much of it at first. Assumes they must have gotten up early, used the bathroom, maybe they're already off the plane. He grabs his briefcase and joins the line of passengers shuffling toward the exit. But Michael and Tommy Davidson are not in the bathroom. They're not in the aisle. They're not waiting in the jetway. They're not in the terminal. They're gone. At 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, Sarah Davidson's phone rings. She picks it up, expecting to hear Michael's voice. Instead, it's Dorothy, Michael's mother. She sounds confused. "Sarah, honey, where are they?" "What do you mean? They should have landed by now. I'm at the airport. I've been waiting at baggage claim for 45 minutes. They never came through." Sarah's heart skips. Maybe they're just delayed getting off the plane? It's a busy day. I checked with the gate agent. Flight 227 landed on time. Everyone's deplaned. They're not here, Sarah. The fear starts then. Just a flutter at first. Maybe there's a simple explanation. Maybe they missed the flight. Maybe there was a problem. Maybe. Sarah calls the airline. The customer service representative checks the manifest. "I show 2 passengers, Michael Davidson and Thomas Davidson. Checked in for Flight 227. The flight has arrived in Denver. But they're not there, Sarah says. Her voice is shaking now. My mother-in-law is at the airport. They never got off the plane. Hold please. 5 minutes pass. Each one feels like an hour. The representative comes back. Her voice is different now. Uncertain. Ma'am, I'm going to need to transfer you to our operations manager. Why? What's wrong? Please hold. Another transfer. A man's voice, professional, calm in that way that actually makes everything feel worse. Mrs. Davidson, this is Robert Thompson, operations manager for Western Airways. I understand you're inquiring about your husband and son on Flight 227. Yes, they were supposed to land in Denver. They're not there. Ma'am, I've personally spoken with our crew and checked with Denver Airport security. Your husband and son boarded the flight in Ashford. We have confirmation of that. But upon arrival in Denver, they were not on the aircraft. Sarah's world tilts. What do you mean they weren't on the aircraft? Where did they go? We don't know, ma'am. We're looking into it right now. How do you not know? They were on a plane. You can't just lose people from a plane. But they had. Somehow, impossibly, Michael and Tommy Davidson had vanished from Flight 227. They had boarded in Connecticut. The plane had flown to Colorado. And they simply weren't there when it landed. At 8 p.m., Sarah calls the Ashford Police Department. Within an hour, it becomes a federal case. The FBI is notified. This is potentially a hijacking. Terrorism. Something unprecedented. The plane is grounded at Denver International. Every inch of it is searched. Lavatories. Overhead bins. Under seats. The cargo hold. The cockpit. Everywhere. Nothing. No sign of them. No evidence they were ever there, except for the boarding passes that were scanned, the witnesses who saw them, the manifest that listed their names. Flight attendant Monica Shaw is interviewed. She's shaking, confused. I serve them drinks, she insists. The man and the little boy in 12A and B. I remember. The boy had a toy airplane. The man asked for extra napkins because his son had spilled a little. I brought them. I smiled at the boy. He was sweet. What time is this? The FBI agent asks. Maybe an hour into the flight? Standard beverage service. And after that? I don't know. I didn't see them again. But there were 93 passengers. I don't keep track of everyone constantly. Harold Peters, the businessman in 12C, gives a statement. The kid showed me his airplane model during takeoff. We talked for a few minutes. He was telling me all about 737s. Smart kid. Then I put on my headphones, did some work on my laptop. When we landed and I stood up, they were gone. I figured they'd already left. I didn't think anything of it. Did you see them get up during a flight? No. But I wasn't watching them. I was working. Passenger after passenger says the same thing. Yes, they saw a man and boy in those seats. No, they don't remember seeing them leave. It was a normal flight. Nothing unusual happened. But by midnight on Christmas Eve, when the FBI finishes processing the plane, the impossible truth settles over everyone involved. Michael and Tommy Davidson boarded Flight 227 in Ashford, Connecticut. But they never arrived in Denver, Colorado. They vanished somewhere over America at 35,000 feet from a sealed aircraft with nowhere to go. The mystery had begun, and for 26 years, no one would know the truth. But here's what investigators didn't know yet. What they wouldn't discover for weeks. What would make this case even more impossible? Michael Davidson had withdrawn $15,000 in cash from his savings account 3 days before Christmas Eve. He told Sarah it was for a surprise gift, something special for the baby. She believed him. Why wouldn't she? But that money was never found. Not in his bank account. Not in his luggage. Not in his wallet. It had simply disappeared, just like him. And that wasn't the only secret Michael was keeping. Not by a long shot. But we'll get to that. First, we need to understand what happened when the world realized two people had done the impossible. Vanished from thin air at 35,000 feet. Christmas Day, 1998. While families across America opened presents and ate turkey dinner, the FBI was tearing apart Flight 227 and interviewing everyone who'd been within 100 feet of it. Lead investigator was Special Agent James Porter, 46 years old, 15 years with the Bureau. He'd worked kidnappings, terrorism cases, organized crime. He was methodical, patient, brilliant at finding patterns others missed. But this case would haunt him for the rest of his life. He stood in the Denver airport hangar, staring at the Boeing 737 like it might reveal its secrets if he looked hard enough. Behind him, forensic teams dusted for fingerprints, searched for fibers, analyzed every inch of the aircraft. "Explain it to me again," he said to the lead technician. The technician, a woman named Dr. Lisa Martinez, flipped through her notes. Seats 12A and 12B. Fingerprints consistent with an adult male and a child. DNA samples recovered from the headrests, the armrests, the tray tables. Fiber evidence. A few strands of hair. Everything confirms that Michael and Tommy Davidson occupied those seats during the flight. But there's no evidence of them leaving those seats. No fingerprints in the aisle beyond row 12. Nothing in the lavatories that matches them. No DNA trail leading anywhere else in the aircraft. How is that possible? It's not, Dr. Martinez said simply. Unless they never left their seats. They're not in their seats now. No, they're not. Porter rubbed his temples. He'd been awake for 28 hours straight. Run through the timeline again. Dr. Martinez pulled out a folder, laid photos on the metal table. Ashford Regional Airport, security footage. 2:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Michael and Tommy Davidson enter the jetway at Gate B7. 2:49 p.m. The gate door closes. 3:28 p.m. The plane pushes back. 3:34 p.m. Takeoff. Flight duration. 3 hours, 57 minutes. Landing at Denver International Airport at 6:31 p.m. Mountain Time. First passengers begin deplaning at 6:38 p.m. Last passenger off at 6:47 p.m. Plane empty except for crew by 6:50 p.m. And during the flight, standard beverage service began at approximately 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 41 minutes after takeoff. Flight attendant Monica Shaw confirms contact with passengers in seats 12A and 12B at that time. After that, she shrugged. No confirmed sightings. But with 93 passengers, that's not unusual. What about turbulence? Any rough patches where people might have noticed if passengers moved around? Flight data recorder shows smooth flight. Minor chop around the Nebraska-Colorado border. Nothing significant. Seatbelt sign was off for most of the flight. Porter paced. His mind raced through possibilities, each more impossible than the last. Could they have hidden somewhere? A compartment we missed. We've been over every inch of this plane. Unless they're two-dimensional, there's nowhere to hide. Parachutes. At cruising altitude, they die from hypoxia before they hit the ground. And how would they open the door? It's impossible at altitude. The pressure differential would prevent it. And if they somehow managed it, every alarm on the plane would go off. The pilots would know immediately. They reported nothing unusual. Could the pilots be involved? Captain Richard Morrison and First Officer Jennifer Lane. Both 20-year veterans with Western Airways. Spotless records. And they'd have no motive. They don't know the Davidsons. Never met them before this flight. Porter stopped pacing. Then where the hell are they? No one had an answer. Back in Ashford, Connecticut, Sarah Davidson was living every parent's nightmare. Her house was filled with FBI agents, police officers, victim advocates. Her phone rang constantly. Reporters, concerned friends, curiosity seekers. Her sister, Margaret, had moved in to help, but there was no helping. Sarah was 8 months pregnant, and her husband and son had disappeared into thin air. She sat on the couch, the same couch where she'd lain just 2 days ago, watching snowfall, and gave her statement for the 4th time. Did Michael seem worried about anything recently? Agent Porter asked gently. He'd flown to Connecticut to interview her personally. No. He was excited about the baby. Business was good. Everything was fine. Any financial troubles? No. Michael made good money. We were comfortable. Marital problems? Sarah's eyes flashed. No. We loved each other. We were happy. I have to ask, Mrs. Davidson. I'm sorry. She softened. I know. I'm sorry too. I don't understand how this happened. We're going to find them, Porter said, though he wasn't sure he believed it. Are they alive? Sarah asked. Her voice broke. Please. Just tell me if you think they're alive. Porter didn't answer right away. He chose his words carefully. We're operating under the assumption that this was a planned disappearance. That your husband had reasons we don't understand yet for leaving. Michael wouldn't leave us. He wouldn't leave me pregnant. He wouldn't take Tommy away from me. The $15,000 he withdrew was for a gift. He told me. Did he say what kind of gift? Sarah hesitated. No. He wanted to surprise me. And you didn't find that unusual? $15,000. I thought maybe he was buying furniture for the nursery. Or, I don't know. We trusted each other. I didn't interrogate him about every purchase. Porter made notes. Did Michael have any enemies? Anyone who might want to harm him? No. Everyone loved Michael. He was kind, generous. He did free work for elderly clients sometimes, helped them design accessibility modifications for their homes. He coached Tommy's little league team. He was good. He was a good man. But even good men have secrets, Porter thought. And Michael Davidson was keeping secrets. The question was, what were they, and had they gotten him killed? The media descended on Ashford like locusts. By December 27th, the case was national news. Cable channels ran the story 24/7. Father and son vanish from flight, the headline screamed. Theories exploded across the internet, primitive as it was in 1998. Some people believed it was alien abduction, that Michael and Tommy had been taken from the plane by extraterrestrials. After all, how else could two people disappear from a sealed aircraft? Others thought witness protection, that Michael was secretly an informant, and the government had extracted him and his son mid-flight using classified technology. The most cynical suspected Michael himself, that he'd planned this, faked his disappearance, left his pregnant wife to start a new life somewhere with Tommy. Every theory was investigated, every tip followed up, and every single one led nowhere. On December 30th, the investigation took a disturbing turn. FBI agents executed a search warrant on Michael Davidson's architecture firm, Davidson and Associates. They seized his computer, his files, his business records going back 10 years. What they found raised more questions than answers. Michael's business was successful. Very successful. The firm grossed over $2 million annually. Michael personally cleared about $300,000 after expenses and salaries. His bank accounts were healthy. No debt. No hidden accounts that they could find. But there was something odd in his project files. A residential renovation from the previous year. Summer of 1997. The Harrington House at 847 Elmwood Drive. An old Victorian mansion owned by a man named Marcus Harrington, 63, wealthy, reclusive. The project had been extensive. Major structural work. Michael had personally overseen every aspect, which was unusual. Typically, the senior partners delegated on-site management to junior associates. But Michael had been there almost daily during the renovation, according to billing records. The project had run over budget by nearly $40,000. Michael had covered the overage himself, not charging the client for the additional work. That was odd. Very odd. Agent Porter drove out to 847 Elmwood Drive. It was an imposing house, 3 stories, Gothic revival architecture, set back from the road, behind overgrown hedges and iron gates. It looked like something from a horror movie. Marcus Harrington answered the door himself. He was tall, thin, with silver hair and cold blue eyes. He invited Porter in with a thin smile. I heard about Michael, Harrington said as they sat in an ornate living room filled with antiques. Terrible thing. Just terrible. You hired him to renovate this house? Yes. Last year. He did excellent work. The project went over budget. Did it? I hadn't noticed. Michael didn't charge me for the overage. Very generous of him. Did you know him well? Socially? Not particularly. We had a professional relationship. He seemed like a good man. Very dedicated to the work. Did he ever mention any problems? Anything bothering him? No. We didn't discuss personal matters. Porter looked around the room. The renovation work was evident. Fresh paint. New wainscoting. Updated electrical fixtures. What exactly did he do here? Second floor, primarily. Rewired the electrical system. Updated the plumbing. Reconfigured some of the rooms. The house is over 100 years old. It needed modernization. Can I see the work? Of course. Harrington led Porter upstairs. The second floor had been completely redone. New walls. New floors. Everything looked perfect. Professionally done. Nothing suspicious. But something about Marcus Harrington bothered Porter. The man was too calm. Too composed. Like he was performing rather than feeling. Mr. Harrington, where were you on December 24th? Here. I don't celebrate Christmas. I stayed home. Anyone who can confirm that? I live alone, Agent Porter. No one to confirm anything. Porter made a mental note to dig deeper into Marcus Harrington. But for now, he had nothing concrete. Just a feeling. And feelings didn't solve cases. By New Year's Day, 1999, the investigation had stalled. No new leads. No evidence of foul play. No signs of Michael or Tommy anywhere in the country. And on January 7th at 2:37 a.m., Sarah Davidson went into labor. Her sister drove her to Ashford Memorial Hospital. At 6:15 a.m., she gave birth to a healthy baby girl. She named her Emma Grace Davidson. Michael never met his daughter. Tommy never met his sister. The FBI kept investigating. Months turned into a year. Tips continued to come in, sightings of Michael and Tommy everywhere from Alaska to Florida. None of them panned out. Every single one was a dead end or a case of mistaken identity. In March of 2000, 14 months after the disappearance, Agent Porter was reassigned to another case. The Davidson case went cold. Not officially closed. Missing persons cases never truly close, but no longer actively investigated. Sarah Davidson fell into a deep depression. She couldn't work. Could barely take care of Emma. Her sister moved in permanently to help. The house on Maple Street, once so warm and full of life, became a mausoleum of grief. Tommy's room remained exactly as he'd left it. His model airplanes still hung from the ceiling. His bed still made with the astronaut sheets he loved. Sarah went in there sometimes, just to sit, just to remember. Years passed. 2001. 2002. Emma grew from a baby into a toddler. She looked like Michael, everyone said. Same eyes. Same smile. Sarah would look at her daughter and feel joy and heartbreak in equal measure. The world moved on. Other cases grabbed headlines. Other mysteries captured the public imagination. The story of Flight 227 became a footnote. An unsolved mystery. A strange tale people told at dinner parties. Hey, remember that father and son who disappeared from a plane? But Sarah never forgot. How could she? Every Christmas Eve was agony. Every birthday Tommy would have had. Every milestone Emma reached that her father and brother weren't there to see. In 2003, she finally agreed to have Michael declared legally dead. She needed the closure. Needed to move forward, if only for Emma's sake. A memorial service was held at St. Catherine's Church in Ashford. Hundreds attended. Michael and Tommy were loved. People grieved. But there were no bodies to bury. Just an empty plot at Ashford Cemetery with a headstone that read, Michael John Davidson, 1956 to 1998. Thomas Michael Davidson, 1989 to 1998. Beloved husband, father, and son. Forever in our hearts. Gone, but never forgotten. The words felt hollow to Sarah. Gone where? Forgotten by whom? They hadn't gone anywhere. They'd vanished. Disappeared. Become ghosts. And they might have stayed ghosts forever. The mystery unsolved, if not for one man's guilty conscience. A man who'd been there that day. Who knew more than he told. who carried secret that grew heavier with each passing year until he couldn't bear it anymore. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, you need to understand what those years were like. The long, empty years. The years of wondering. The years of hope slowly dying. The years of Tommy growing up only in photographs, frozen at 9 years old forever. The years of Emma growing up without a father, without a brother, with only stories to know them by. Because those years mattered. They shaped what came next. They made the final revelation all the more devastating. 2005. Emma is 6 years old now. She's in first grade at Ashford Elementary, the same school where her mother used to teach before the Depression became too much. Sarah has a new job now, working from home, doing medical billing. It's quiet work. Solitary. It suits her. Emma asks about her father and brother sometimes. Sarah shows her pictures. Michael holding baby Emma at the hospital, even though that never happened. Sarah had a friend Photoshop it, needed something to show her daughter, needed Emma to have a memory even if it was fake. Why did Daddy and Tommy go away? Emma asks one night at bedtime. They didn't mean to, sweetheart, Sarah says, brushing hair from Emma's forehead. Something happened. We don't know what. But they loved you very much. They love you still. Are they in heaven? Sarah's throat tightens. I think so. Yes. Do they watch me? Every day. Emma seems satisfied with this. She's too young to understand the full horror of it. The not knowing. The absence of closure. For her, they're just gone. Like the goldfish that died last year. Like the dog they had to put down when Emma was 4. Gone is gone when you're 6 years old. But Sarah knows better. Gone without a trace is different. Gone without explanation is torture. Gone with no body, no grave, no final goodbye is a special kind of hell. In 2008, the 10th anniversary of the disappearance, a true crime documentary series features the case. Vanished. The Flight 227 mystery. It's a 2-hour special. Interviews with investigators, family, the flight crew, passengers. Reenactments of that Christmas Eve. Sarah agrees to be interviewed. She's 50 now, her hair graying. Deep lines around her eyes from years of crying and not sleeping. Do you still hope they're alive? The interviewer asks. Sarah thinks for a long moment. I don't know. Sometimes I hope they are, somewhere, living different lives, happy. Other times I hope they're dead, because at least then their suffering would be over. Isn't that terrible? To hope your husband and child are dead. It's not terrible. It's human. I just want to know, Sarah whispers. That's all. I just want to know what happened. The documentary renews public interest briefly. Tips flood in again, just like in 1998. All of them prove false. All of them lead nowhere. Agent James Porter, retired now and living in Florida, watches the documentary. He's 61 years old. The case still haunts him. He has a file cabinet in his garage filled with copies of the case files. He reviews them sometimes, looking for what he missed. There has to be something. There has to be. But he never finds it. 2010. Emma is 12. She's in middle school now, discovering that being the girl whose father and brother disappeared makes her interesting in a way she doesn't like. Kids whisper. Ask invasive questions. Do you think they were abducted by aliens? I heard your dad ran away because he didn't want another kid. My mom says your dad was probably murdered. Emma learns to ignore them, but it hardens something inside her. She becomes quiet, withdrawn, develops anxiety. Sarah takes her to therapy. It helps some, not enough. 2015. Emma is 17. She's researching colleges. Wants to study criminal justice. Wants to solve mysteries the way her father's was never solved. Sarah is proud and heartbroken in equal measure. The Ashford community still remembers. Every Christmas Eve, there's a candlelight vigil at St. Catherine's Church. The crowd has dwindled over the years, but there's always someone there. Always someone who remembers the Davidsons. 2020. The world shuts down for COVID. Sarah and Emma quarantine together in the house on Maple Street. The isolation is hard, but in some ways, Sarah's been isolated for 22 years. What's a few more months? During lockdown, Emma becomes obsessed with the case. She has access now to databases she didn't before, true crime forums, digital archives. She reads everything. Every article. Every theory. Every supposed sighting. She finds something interesting. A post on an aviation forum from 2012. Someone claiming to have been a ground crew member at Denver International in 1998. The post is anonymous. I saw something that day. December 24th, 1998. Flight 227. I was working the ramp. I saw a car on the tarmac that shouldn't have been there. Black sedan. I reported it to my supervisor. He told me to forget it. Said it was none of my business. I've wondered about it for years. Was it connected to the disappearance? Emma shows it to her mother. Sarah reads it, feels a flicker of something she hasn't felt in years. Hope? No, not hope. Curiosity, maybe. A need to know. They contact the forum administrators, try to trace the post. Dead end. The account was deleted years ago. Whoever posted it wanted to remain anonymous. But it plants a seed. What if someone did see something? What if there were witnesses who never came forward? What if the truth was out there, hidden not behind some grand conspiracy, but behind simple fear or confusion? 2023. Marcus Harrington dies. He's 88 years old. Dies alone in the house at 847 Elmwood Drive. Heart failure. He has no family, no heirs. His estate goes into probate. The house sits empty while lawyers argue over what to do with it. None of this means anything to Sarah or Emma Davidson. They don't even know Marcus Harrington is dead. Don't know that the man who held the key to their nightmare is gone, taking his secrets to the grave. Or so it seems. 2024. Sarah is 64 now. Emma is 25, graduated from college with a degree in criminal justice. She works for a private investigation firm in Boston. She lives for one case though, the case of her missing father and brother. She's mapped out everything. Timeline, passenger lists, crew information, airport layouts. She has Michael's architecture files, obtained through a Freedom of Information request. She's gone through every project he worked on, looking for something, anything unusual. The Harrington House project keeps catching her eye. The cost overruns. Michael's personal attention to it. The fact that he covered $40,000 himself. She researches Marcus Harrington. Discovers he died last year. Discovers his estate is in probate. Discovers the house is scheduled for demolition. And she discovers something else. Something that makes her blood run cold. Marcus Harrington and Michael Davidson knew each other before the renovation project. Way before. They'd both lived in Chicago in the 1980s. Both worked in the construction industry. There's a photo from a 1986 industry conference. Marcus Harrington and Michael Davidson, younger then, standing together, smiling. Emma finds this photo in a digitized archive of Chicago construction journals. It's grainy black and white, but it's definitely them. Michael never mentioned knowing Harrington before. In all the files from the FBI investigation, he's listed only as a client, not a friend or acquaintance. Why would Michael hide that connection? Emma books a ticket to Ashford. Shows up at her mother's door on December 1st, 2024. Mom, I found something. They sit at the kitchen table. The same table where Michael and Tommy ate their last breakfast 26 years ago. And Emma shows Sarah what she's discovered. Sarah stares at the photo. I don't understand. Michael never mentioned knowing this man. Exactly. Why wouldn't he? Maybe it wasn't important? Maybe they barely knew each other. Then why did Michael personally oversee that renovation? Why did he pay for cost overruns himself? Mom, what if Marcus Harrington had something on Dad? What if he was blackmailing him? Michael didn't have any secrets, Sarah says automatically. But even as she says it, she wonders. How well do we ever really know anyone? Even the people we love most? I want to see that house, Emma says. Before they tear it down. On December 15th, 2024, Emma drives to 847 Elmwood Drive. The house looks different than in the old photos from the FBI investigation. More decrepit. Windows broken. Weeds overgrown. A demolition notice on the front door. She doesn't go inside. She's not allowed to. The property is secured. But she stands outside, staring up at the second floor where Michael did all that work, and she feels something. A certainty. An instinct. This house knows what happened, she says out loud to no one. She's right. But she doesn't know it yet. Won't know it for hours yet. Because at that exact moment, inside the house, on the second floor master bedroom, Marcus Rivera is swinging a sledgehammer at a wall. And he's about to find what Emma has been searching for her entire life. The wall is 3 feet thick. Thicker than any interior wall should be. Thicker than the blueprints show. Marcus Rivera knows construction. He knows something's wrong. He swings again. The wall cracks. Dust fills the air. And through the gap, he sees it. The hollow space. The chamber. He doesn't know yet what's inside. Doesn't know that he's about to solve a 26-year-old mystery. Doesn't know that the missing father and son, the subject of 1,000 theories and documentaries and vigils, are right here. Have been here all along. Sealed behind this wall like a nightmare made concrete. He swings one more time. The wall collapses. And he sees them. We'll get to what happens next. But first, you need to understand what really happened on Christmas Eve, 1998. Because the truth is so much worse than anyone imagined. Let's go back. December 24th, 1998. Flight 227. Seats 12A and 12B. Michael and Tommy Davidson. The plane is at cruising altitude. Tommy is dozing against the window, the model airplane still clutched in his small hands. Michael is reading a magazine, but his mind is elsewhere. He's thinking about the $15,000 in cash in his carry-on bag. Thinking about the plan, the confrontation, the evidence he needs to finally be free. At 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 45 minutes into the flight, a flight attendant approaches Michael. But it's not Monica Shaw, the attendant who served them drinks. It's a different woman, younger, nervous. She hands Michael a folded note. "This is for you, sir." From the cockpit. Michael unfolds it, confused. The message is brief, typed. "Emergency. Your wife in accident. Critical condition. Call immediately upon landing. Car will be waiting to take you to hospital." Michael's heart stops. Sarah. The baby. Oh God, please no. He looks up at the flight attendant. "Is this real? How do you know this?" "Radio communication from Denver, sir." "I'm so sorry. The captain wanted you to know immediately so you could be prepared." Tommy stirs awake. "Dad? What's wrong?" Michael's hands are shaking. "Nothing, buddy. Go back to sleep." "But everything's wrong. Sarah's hurt. The baby. He needs to get to her. Needs to. He can't think straight. Terror overwhelms him. For the next 2 hours, he's in agony. Tommy keeps asking what's wrong. Michael tells him everything's fine, but Tommy knows his father, knows when he's lying. The plane lands at 6:31 p.m. Michael is out of his seat before the seatbelt sign turns off. He grabs their carry-on, takes Tommy's hand, and pushes to the front of the line. Other passengers grumble, but let them through when they see the panic on Michael's face. They're the first ones off the plane. Michael rushes through the jetway, Tommy struggling to keep up. "Dad, slow down. We have to hurry, Tommy. Mom needs us." In the terminal, a man in a black suit holds a sign. Davidson. Michael runs to him. "Are you from the hospital? How is she? Is she okay?" The man's face is expressionless. "Please, sir. Come with me. The car is this way." He leads them not toward the main terminal, but down a service corridor. Michael's too panicked to notice how wrong this is. Too focused on getting to Sarah. They exit through a door marked Authorized Personnel Only and emerge onto the tarmac. A black sedan is waiting, engine running. "Get in, please," the man says. Michael bundles Tommy into the back seat and climbs in after him. The man gets in the driver's seat. The doors lock with a heavy click. That's when Michael realizes. The hospital would send an ambulance, not a sedan. They wouldn't bring him onto the tarmac. This doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. "Wait," he says. "Where are we?" Something presses against his neck. A needle. He feels a sharp sting, and then everything gets fuzzy. He tries to push away, but his arms won't work. Across from him, Tommy slumps forward, unconscious. Another man in the front passenger seat Michael hadn't noticed before. No, Michael tries to say, but his mouth won't form the words. The world goes dark. When Michael wakes up, his head is pounding. He's lying on a cold floor. Concrete. His hands are tied behind his back. It's dark, so dark he can't see anything. Tommy, he croaks. His throat is dry, his tongue thick. Dad. A small voice. Terrified. Close by. I'm here, buddy. I'm right here. Michael's eyes adjust slowly. There's a sliver of light coming from somewhere. He can make out shapes. They're in a small room. No, not a room. A chamber. Walls on all sides. Concrete floor. Concrete ceiling. Maybe 8 feet long, 3 feet wide, 6 feet tall. Barely enough room to sit up. Tommy is curled against one wall, crying. Michael crawls to him, hands still tied, and presses against his son. It's okay. It's going to be okay. But he doesn't believe it. Doesn't know how it could be okay. Where are we? Tommy sobs. I don't know. Light suddenly floods the space. Michael squints. A section of the wall has opened. A door hidden perfectly in the concrete. A silhouette stands in the opening. Michael can't make out the face against the bright light behind it. Hello, Michael. That voice. Michael knows that voice. Marcus. Marcus Harrington steps into the chamber. He's wearing work clothes, gloves. His face is calm, almost sad. I'm sorry it came to this, Marcus says. I really am. What are you doing? Marcus, please let us go. This is insane. You were going to tell, Marcus says. After all these years, you were finally going to tell. I couldn't let that happen. Michael's mind races. The hit and run. 1986. The young woman they killed. He'd been planning to confess. Yes, to finally unburden himself. But how did Marcus know? I wasn't, Michael lies. I swear I wasn't. Don't lie to me, Michael. I know about the money you withdrew. I know you hired a lawyer. I know you were going to make a deal with the police. Turn state's evidence against me in exchange for immunity. I just wanted to be free of it, Marcus. The guilt. Your guilt is not my problem. Your guilt was never supposed to be anyone's problem. We buried it. We moved on. You got married, had a family, built a successful career. I gave you that life. You gave me nightmares. Every single day for 12 years, I see your face. I see what we did. Then you're weak. Marcus's voice hardens. I've never lost a moment's sleep over it. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all. Collateral damage. Tommy whimpers. Marcus glances at him, and something flickers in his eyes. Regret? Michael can't tell. You didn't have to bring the boy, Marcus says quietly. That was a mistake. Please, Michael begs. He's 9 years old. He has nothing to do with this. Let him go. Do whatever you want of me, but let Tommy go. I can't. He's seen too much. Heard too much. He won't say anything. Tommy, tell him you won't say anything. Tommy is crying too hard to speak. He presses against his father, small body shaking. Marcus shakes his head. I'm sorry, Michael. I truly am. For what it's worth, it'll be quick. Carbon monoxide. You'll just fall asleep. No pain. No. Marcus, please. We can figure this out. I'll do anything. But Marcus is backing toward the door. Goodbye, Michael. I hope you find peace. The door closes. Locks. Darkness again. Michael screams. Throws himself against the door. His shoulder aches, but the door doesn't budge. It's concrete, steel reinforced. He can't break through. Dad. Tommy is hysterical now. Dad, what's happening? I want to go home. I want Mom. Michael crawls back to his son, gathers him in his arms as best he can with his hands still tied. I know, buddy. I know. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. This is all my fault. I don't understand. I did something bad a long time ago. And now, I'm so sorry, Tommy. I'm so sorry. They sit there in the darkness, and Michael feels something he's never felt before. Not just fear, not just regret, but the absolute certainty that he's killed his son. His beautiful, innocent son, who loved airplanes and baseball, and who was going to grow up to be a pilot. Who was supposed to have a whole life ahead of him. All gone because of Michael's choices. Michael's cowardice. Michael's sins. Time passes. Michael has no idea how long. Could be minutes. Could be hours. The chamber is soundproof. He screams for help until his voice gives out. No one hears. He finds a small pencil in his pocket and a scrap of paper, a napkin from a plane. He starts to write. A letter to Sarah. A confession. An apology. An explanation of everything. The accident in '86. Marcus. The blackmail that never ended. The decision to finally come clean. The trap. He writes in the dark, by memory, his handwriting shaky and illegible, but he keeps going because he needs her to know. Needs someone to know the truth. Tommy has stopped crying. He's quiet now, too quiet. His breathing is shallow. Tommy. I'm tired, Dad. No, it's starting. The carbon monoxide. Michael can't smell it, can't see it, but it's there. He knows it's there. Stay awake, buddy. Talk to me. Tell me about the plane we flew on. You said it was a 737. Yeah, Tommy mumbles. Boeing 737-700. Cruising speed about 500 miles per hour. 2 engines. Can carry 149 passengers in standard configuration. That's right. That's good. What else? But Tommy doesn't answer. His body is slack against Michael. Tommy? Tommy. Wake up. Michael shakes him, but Tommy doesn't respond. He's unconscious. Breathing, but unconscious. Michael tries to stay awake. Tries to keep fighting. But the gas is insidious. He feels drowsy. His thoughts get fuzzy. He slumps against the wall. Tommy in his arms. The letter clutched in his hand. His last thought is of Sarah. He pictures her face. The way she smiled at him that morning. The way she looked pregnant and beautiful and alive. He never wanted to leave her. He never wanted any of this. The darkness takes him. Outside the chamber, Marcus Harrington works through the night. He uses fresh concrete, reinforced with steel mesh, to seal the wall. Completely. Perfectly. He's an expert in construction. He knows how to hide things. By morning, the wall is finished. Painted. It looks exactly like every other wall in the house. No one would ever know what's behind it. Marcus cleans up. Removes every trace of the work. Burns the clothes he wore. Destroys the tools. He thinks of everything. Then he sits in his living room, drinks a glass of scotch, and watches the news coverage of the mysterious disappearance of a father and son from Flight 227. He feels nothing. Over the years, investigators will come to his door multiple times. Agent Porter interviews him in '99. A private investigator, Sarah hired, questions him in 2003. A documentary crew films B-roll of his house in 2008. Marcus is always cooperative, always helpful, always perfectly calm. He has nothing to hide, after all. Just an old house with an old man inside, and 2 bodies sealed in a wall. For 26 years, Michael and Tommy Davidson are right there. At 847 Elmwood Drive. 15 minutes from the house on Maple Street, where Sarah waits and grieves and wonders. Right there. The whole time. Marcus Harrington takes his secret to the grave in 2023. But the house remembers. The wall remembers. And on December 15th, 2024, Marcus Rivera's sledgehammer breaks through that wall and brings the truth screaming back into the light. Marcus Rivera stumbles backward from the wall. His phone already out. 911 already dialed. I need police at 847 Elmwood Drive in Ashford. I found human remains. 2 bodies. In a wall. The operator tries to keep him calm, but Marcus is hyperventilating. He's worked demolition for 15 years. Found asbestos, found black mold, once even found a box of old pornography someone had hidden in a ceiling. But never this. Never bodies. Are you sure they're human remains, sir? I'm sure. There's a skull. 2 skulls. One small. Like a child. Ashford Police Department arrives within 10 minutes. The house is immediately cordoned off. Crime scene tape goes up. A perimeter is established. Detective Sarah Chun, no relation to the robber Chun who worked at Michael's firm, is the first investigator on scene. She's 38, been with Ashford PD for 12 years. She's heard the stories about the Davidson disappearance. Everyone in Ashford has. She steps into the second-floor bedroom and sees the broken wall, the chamber beyond, the bones, the suitcase with the airline tag still visible. "Oh my God," she breathes. She calls her captain. "We need the FBI. And someone needs to contact Sarah Davidson. I think we just found her husband and son." The news spreads through Ashford like wildfire. By noon, the street is clogged with news vans, reporters, curious onlookers. The Davidson disappearance is national news again, but this time with an answer. A horrible, heartbreaking answer. Agent James Porter is contacted at his home in Florida. He's 78 years old now, retired for nearly 2 decades, but when his phone rings and a voice says, "We found them," he knows immediately who they mean. He books a flight to Connecticut that night. Sarah Davidson is at work, processing medical bills from her home office, when Detective Chun knocks on her door. Emma is with her. They've been working on the case together, going through old files, preparing to visit the Harrington house. Sarah opens the door and sees the detective's face. Knows immediately. After 26 years, she knows. "You found them." It's not a question. "Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry." Sarah doesn't cry. Not yet. She's imagined this moment so many times that now it's here. She feels almost numb. Where? The Harrington house. They were sealed in a wall. Emma, behind her mother, makes a sound like she's been punched. She was right. The house did know. "Are you sure it's them?" Sarah asks. "The suitcase has your husband's name on it. We'll need DNA confirmation, but yes, we're sure." Sarah nods slowly. Then she sits down right there in the doorway as her legs give out. Emma catches her, holds her, and they sit there together while Detective Chun calls for paramedics because Sarah's hyperventilating, can't breathe. The weight of 26 years of not knowing suddenly replaced by the weight of knowing. The forensic team works for 3 days, carefully extracting the remains, photographing everything, collecting evidence. They find 2 complete skeletal remains, 1 adult male, 1 juvenile male. DNA testing confirms Michael Davidson and Thomas Davidson. Cause of death: asphyxiation due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Time of death: estimated late December 1998, consistent with their disappearance. Evidence they were alive when sealed in: scratch marks on the interior walls, defensive wounds on Michael's hands where he clawed at the concrete. A letter, sealed in plastic, tucked in Michael's jacket pocket. The letter is removed carefully, preserved as evidence. But Detective Chun reads it first, and what she reads makes her sick. Michael's confession. The hit and run in 1986. The victim, a woman named Jennifer Walsh, 26 years old, killed instantly. The cover-up. The years of blackmail and guilt. The plan to finally confess. The trap Marcus set. The horror of realizing Tommy would die too. The final lines. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this. I just wanted to be free. I just wanted to do the right thing. Please forgive me. Please tell Tommy's little sister that her father and brother loved her even though we never got to meet her. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." The ink had run where Michael's tears had fallen on the paper. Detective Chun delivers the letter to Sarah personally. Sits with her while she reads it. Watches Sarah's face crumble as she reads her husband's final words. "He was trying to do the right thing," Sarah says through her tears. "He was trying to be better." "Yes, ma'am. And that monster killed him for it. Killed my baby for it. Marcus Harrington is dead, so there's no one to prosecute. But the investigation continues. The FBI reopens the 1986 case. Jennifer Walsh's file is pulled from archives. She'd been a graduate student at Northwestern University in Chicago, studying biology. She'd been walking home from a library on the night of June 14, 1986, when a car hit her at the intersection of Clark and Diversey. The car didn't stop. She died at the scene. The case had gone cold. No witnesses. No leads. Her family had never gotten answers. Now, 38 years later, they do. Jennifer's brother, David Walsh, is 62 now. He lives in Portland, Oregon. When the FBI calls him and tells him they've solved his sister's murder, he breaks down sobbing. "I never gave up," he says. "I always knew someone out there knew what happened. I just never thought I'd live to see them found." Michael and Marcus's connection is traced back through old Chicago records. They'd worked together briefly on a construction site in '86. They'd been out drinking after work the night of June 14th. Witnesses from the bar are found, old men now, but they remember the two younger guys who'd left around 11 p.m. Security footage from 1998 is re-examined. The flight attendant who delivered the note to Michael on Flight 227 is identified. Patricia Reynolds, now 62, living in Arizona. When FBI agents show up at her door, she collapses. She's been waiting for this for 26 years. "He paid me $10,000, she sobs. Marcus Harrington. He told me it was a prank. That Michael would understand. That it was an inside joke between friends. I was young, I was stupid, I needed money. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "You knew enough to never come forward," the agent says coldly. "I was scared. When I heard they were missing, I thought about coming forward. But then I was afraid I'd be arrested. Afraid I'd lose my job. And as time went on, it got harder and harder. I've lived with this guilt every single day. Every single day for 26 years." She's arrested, charged as an accessory after the fact. The driver of the black sedan is identified through old airport records. A man named Frank Sullivan, 68 now, also living in Arizona. He's arrested too. Both cooperate fully, detailing how Marcus Harrington had approached them, paid them cash, told them it was for a business matter, and they shouldn't ask questions. They'd been greedy and stupid and willfully blind. The full story comes together. The FBI presents it to Sarah and Emma in a conference room at the Ashford Police Department. Agent Porter is there too, flown in from Florida for the final briefing. "Your husband was trying to do the right thing," Porter tells Sarah. "He carried guilt for 12 years over an accident. And when he finally decided to come clean, Marcus Harrington killed him to protect himself. Your husband was a good man who made a terrible mistake and then spent the rest of his life trying to atone for it. And my son?" Sarah asks quietly. "What was Tommy's mistake? What was he atoning for?" There's no answer to that. Tommy wasn't innocent. Wrong place, wrong time. Collateral damage, as Marcus had said. A funeral is held. Real funeral this time, with real bodies to bury. The church is packed. The entire town of Ashford turns out. News crews film from a distance. Michael and Tommy are laid to rest together in Ashford Cemetery, in the plot that's been waiting for them for 21 years. The headstone is updated with the truth. Michael John Davidson, 1956 to 1998. Thomas Michael Davidson, 1989 to 1998. Beloved husband, father, and son. Taken too soon by evil men. May they rest in peace together forever. Sarah stands at the grave, Emma on one side, her sister Margaret on the other. She doesn't cry. She's cried herself dry over the years. Now she just feels empty. "At least we know," Emma says softly. "Yes," Sarah agrees. "At least we know." It's Christmas Eve, 2024. Exactly 26 years to the day since Michael and Tommy boarded Flight 227. Sarah Davidson, now 64 years old, sits in the living room of the house on Maple Street. Emma is with her and Emma's fiancé, a kind man named David who loves true crime stories and helped Emma research the case. A Christmas tree stands in the corner, decorated with the same ornaments from 26 years ago. The paper snowflakes Tommy made. The popsicle stick reindeer. The clay angel from first grade. On the mantle, there are new photographs now. Michael and Tommy's funeral. The headstone. Articles about the case finally being solved. And there's something else. A framed letter. Michael's final words to Sarah, preserved behind glass. "I read it sometimes," Sarah tells David. "When I need to remember that he didn't leave us on purpose. That he was trying to be better. He was brave," David says. To finally confess, after all those years, knowing the consequences. He was stupid, Emma says, but there's no anger in her voice. He should have gone to the police immediately. But he was young and scared, and Marcus manipulated him. Marcus Harrington was evil, Sarah says simply. He killed a young woman and felt nothing. He killed my husband and son and felt nothing. The world is better without him in it. There's a vigil tonight at St. Catherine's Church. The last one, Sarah has decided. They know the truth now. There's no more wondering. No more waiting. The mystery is solved. But the grief remains. The loss remains. The stolen years remain. Tommy would be 35 now. Would he have become a pilot? Would he be married? Would Sarah have grandchildren? Michael would be 68. Would he have retired? Would he and Sarah be spending their golden years traveling, spoiling grandkids, growing old together? All of it gone. All of it stolen by one man's evil and another man's tragic attempt at redemption. At 7 p.m., they drive to the church. The sanctuary is full, like always on this night. Candles are lit. Someone plays Silent Night on the organ. Detective Chun is there. Agent Porter flew in from Florida again, said he needed to be here. The mayor speaks. A priest offers prayers. And then Sarah stands to speak. She's never done this before. For 26 years, she's attended these vigils in silence. But tonight is different. Thank you all for coming, she says, her voice stronger than she expected. For 26 years, you've stood with me, remembered with me, hoped with me, and now grieved with me. Michael and Tommy are finally at rest. The truth, as terrible as it is, has set us free. We know what happened. We know it wasn't their choice to leave. We know they loved us. And we know that evil exists in this world. That good people can make terrible mistakes. That courage sometimes comes too late. But we also know that truth matters. That justice, even delayed, matters. My husband tried to do the right thing. It cost him everything. It cost my son everything. But in the end, the truth came out. Evil didn't win forever. So tonight, I ask you to remember them not as victims, but as people. Michael Davidson was funny and kind. He helped neighbors, coached Little League, built beautiful buildings. Yes, he made a terrible mistake when he was young. But he spent 12 years trying to be better. Tommy Davidson loved airplanes. He was smart and curious and sweet. He had his whole life ahead of him. He deserved to grow up. They both deserved better than what Marcus Harrington did to them. This is the last vigil. We have our answers now. We have our closure. Michael and Tommy are at peace. And I need to move forward to live the rest of my life honoring their memory by living fully. Thank you for everything. For never forgetting them. For never letting their story die. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave me community when I felt alone. I will never forget your kindness. She sits down. The church is silent except for quiet crying. Then, slowly, people stand. One by one. A standing ovation for Sarah's strength, for her grace, for her endurance. After the vigil, Sarah and Emma visit the cemetery. It's snowing lightly, like it was that last Christmas Eve 26 years ago. They stand at the grave, the fresh flowers already dusted with white. Do you think they can hear us? Emma asks. I don't know, Sarah says. But I hope so. I wish I'd known them. I wish I had real memories instead of just stories. I know, sweetheart. I wish that too. They stand in silence for a while, watching the snow fall on the grave. Are you okay, Mom? Emma finally asks. Sarah considers this. Is she okay? She's not sure she'll ever truly be okay. But she survived. She's endured. She's found a kind of peace, if not happiness. I will be, she says. Eventually, I will be. They walk back to the car, mother and daughter, linked by love and loss, and the shared weight of a mystery finally solved. Behind them, the snow covers the headstone, softening the edges, making everything clean and white and quiet. Michael and Tommy Davidson are home. The mystery of Flight 227 is solved. And somewhere maybe they're together still. Father and son, flying through endless skies. Free at last. The case of the Flight 227 disappearance captivated a nation for 26 years. It seemed impossible. How could two people vanish from an airplane? How could they simply cease to exist? The answer, as it turned out, was heartbreaking. They didn't vanish. They were murdered, sealed behind a wall, hidden in plain sight for over 2 decades while investigators searched the world for them. Marcus Harrington's evil. Michael Davidson's tragic attempt at redemption. Tommy Davidson's innocent death. Sarah Davidson's 26 years of torment. Emma Davidson growing up without a father or brother. And all of it traced back to one moment in 1986. One hit and run. One death that should have been reported but wasn't. One cover-up that spawned decades of destruction. Jennifer Walsh deserved justice. She got it 38 years late. Michael Davidson deserved a chance at redemption. He died trying. Tommy Davidson deserved a life. He got 9 years. Sarah Davidson deserved answers. She finally has them. This is the price of secrets. The weight of guilt. The cost of trying to bury the past instead of confronting it. Michael tried to do the right thing in the end. It killed him. But at least 26 years later, the truth came out. The wall finally spoke. And the mystery that haunted a nation could finally rest. If this story moved you, if you found yourself captivated by the mystery, the heartbreak, the final revelation, then you understand why we do what we do here at Ultimate Crime Stories. We don't just tell stories. We honor victims. We seek truth. We never forget. Subscribe to Ultimate Crime Stories for more deep dives into the cases that haunt us. The disappearances that defy explanation. The mysteries that span decades. The truths that hide in walls and shadows in plain sight. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because every story we tell matters. Every victim deserves to be remembered. Every mystery deserves an answer. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. And remember, the truth is out there. Sometimes it just takes 26 years, a sledgehammer, and a wall to find it. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and never stop seeking the truth.